Hello, everyone, and we're the hosts of the award-nominated I Don't Think So podcast. Each episode, we discuss a different story, theory, or mystery and decide if we think it's believable or if we really don't think so.
Here at the award-nominated I Don't Think So podcast, we are affiliated with Furry Sports and present who knows what we present, our theories on your favorite place to listen to podcasts every Wednesday. If you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a like, a share, go ahead and rate us, and check out our socials at I Don't Think So _EH or our YouTube page at IDTS. This is what quality you can expect.
IDTS conspiracies.
Oh no, I thought I said it.
Anyway, so if you've stumbled onto this page because you are a volume 1 reader.
Usually it's not this rough of a start.
Maybe start with the last episode.
Maybe go back an episode. Come back and meet us on this one, and we'll try again. But,
but
who's distracted? There's a cat in my lap.
But normally we don't have a special guest of Mittens, but she decided she wants to be all nice and cuddly today.
So I couldn't read very well. Not that I can read very well all the time.
That's also a misconception.
Because there are times that are better.
For sure. Yeah. So kind of sadly, we're wrapping up the month of November already. It's gone very fast. It's been a fun month.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a Reddit story.
I love a Reddit story. So much of my TikTok is Reddit stories.
Yeah.
Which really gets me going for this.
I'm really glad that that's your TikTok. And mine's like, I don't even know.
Not all of it is that. Right now it's a lot of Wicked.
Oh, so much Wicked.
Which is great.
We got to go see it together last weekend, and it was phenomenal.
If you haven't seen it, I totally recommend. I love the one that's like popular, the song, and everyone was like, Ariana really put her heart and soul into that. And she's like, don't make me laugh. They were popular.
Right!
It's like, whoa.
Yes, I would definitely go see it again. It was a 10 out of 10 in my opinion.
So good.
Very good. I was talking to other coworkers today too, and they're like, I mean, just Jonathan Bailey on the screen is all you need to say. Yeah. Well, throughout this month, we've been talking about different Reddit stories, things like that. And since we are here on Thanksgiving week, I decided to find some Thanksgiving Am I the Asshole stories.
Oh.
And some of them are very recent. For example, the first one I'm reading is only from yesterday.
Jeez Louise.
So,
good to know you prep.
Some of them are a little bit older than that. But lots of assholey behavior, not all from the writer. But I feel like the holidays always bring out the worst in people.
I do. Like, I feel like it's always like such good intentions, but then you see your family and like sometimes it's nicer to like not see them for 364 days.
Mm-hmm.
That one day you go, oh boy, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah. So, first title. Am I the asshole for disinviting my mom to Thanksgiving 4 days before the holiday?
Ooh.
I am a very involved stepmother and have been for 20 years and raised my stepdaughters in my home. I don't ever call them my stepdaughters and am only using the term for the sake of the story.
Okay.
I have a teenage granddaughter via stepdaughter, and my mom texted me saying that she thinks my brother's son has a crush on my granddaughter. So it'd be like the writer's, her nephew has a crush on her stepdaughter. But
Her step-granddaughter.
Her step-granddaughter. But they're like pretty much her granddaughter. Because of how they've been raised.
I really wish that this person put ages in here because this is making me like.
Yeah, there's no ages, so we don't really know. Okay. Anywho, I replied, they're related, which she said they're not really related. I responded that it was offensive to say that my granddaughter is not really related and that I do not want my mother to come to the holiday. Some background: she has a long history of textbook narcissistic parenting behavior, and this happened right after a major family event. She usually creates issues around positive family events. She has made little comments about my daughters not being, quote, real over the last years. She is not close to my nephew. Her comment was not based on something she heard. It was based on watching them interact at the event. Am I overreacting, and am I the asshole for cutting her out of spending holiday with my husband and my kids based on this remark?
No. No, I think I will say, had it just been like a one-off, like, well, it's not like we're not blood related
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. Like that'd be one thing to be like immediately like you are not welcome in my home.
Right.
But it sounds like it's a pattern of behavior,
Correct.
and this was just kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back
Mm-hmm.
of like it's not. And there's also a different way to say it, right? It's a way of being like they're not blood related. It's not technically incest. Also, like it's weird to anyways, but like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like that's not really your granddaughter. Like, well, it is, and it's weird of you to like try and make that distinction in
Correct.
that way. I don't think they're the asshole at all, and I think good on them for being so protective of their family and a family that is a little bit more blended.
For sure. I was surprised because this one was labeled "You're the asshole."
Really?
Yeah, a bunch of people are saying like you're the asshole. She wasn't suggesting your granddaughter isn't family. She was simply clarifying that the teenagers aren't blood relatives, so their relationship wouldn't be incestuous. It sounds like this is a sensitive topic for you, and you misinterpreted her comment in the most negative way. And I'm kind of thinking, well, she said it's been like happening more than once. So,
I mean,
and this the one person says soft, you're the asshole. But I'm like, I personally don't like I agree with the writer. Like I don't think that they're being an asshole at all.
no. And I think there's like again, it sounds like there's multiple layers to this story. Had it come across differently, like had she said something different, or had it been a one-off thing, I would have been like kind of the ass, like a soft, you're the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like the pattern of behavior.
Correct.
It sounds like this mom has said more than once, like those are not your real children, those are not your real grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's the asshole at all.
I don't think so either. Disagree with the commenters.
I disagree with the commenters. I listen. Have I been called sensitive on more than one occasion? Yes.
Same. Do I cry when someone looks at me wrong? Yes.
Are you gonna yell at me and I will cry? Probably.
Absolutely.
But like in this circumstance, in this situation, I feel like she is doing what she needs to do to protect
I agree.
her. And this is like some old bat coming out of the woodwork to be like, these two teenagers talk to each other.
Well, and that's what's crazy too, is like there's not even actually a crush. She's just making an assumption about these kids because of how they interact. When they could just have like a chemistry based on being friends and relatives, not have a chemistry like a love chemistry.
A love match. They might also be teenagers.
Correct.
Who else are you gonna hang out with?
Correct. Yeah. I don't know. I think that they should just stay out of the mom should stay out of the kids' business, in my opinion.
I think it's weird.
I think it's weird to insinuate that.
I think it's weird to be like, wouldn't that be so cool if your nephew could marry your granddaughter?
That's gross.
weird.
Yeah, for sure. Anywho, next one.
Woohoo!
Am I the asshole because I purposefully, quote, forgot about visiting my fiance's family and they're looking for advice?
Yeah, you are. I don't need to know anything else. You suck.
Hi, I've never made one of these stories before, so hopefully I'm doing it right. I, 25 female, and my fiance, 26 male, were supposed to go visit his family for the beginning of November to see them and probably have a Thanksgiving dinner with them. However, This weekend came and nothing was mentioned about it, so I let it pass and didn't remind him of the plans. For some context, my fiance is a great partner. Our relationship is not perfect by any means, but we are a great team, and overall, he is my absolute best friend. However, he always puts the pressure on me to plan everything and always makes me be the one to stay on top of everything. It's a lot of mental load. In my mind, it's his family. You can organize visits with your family and stay on top of it to make sure you remember. I have enough going on in my life right now then that I don't need to manage his relationship with his family. Between my father, work, personal relationships, and my sister is going through a divorce that is taking up a really big toll on her, I can't manage his relationships at this point. So when him and his mother and I were in a group family chat and they made these plans a month and a half ago, I just never mentioned it again. And when in the week of, I texted him, "Hey, I'm off this entire weekend. What would you like to do?" He states, "I don't know, we can do whatever." So the weekend comes and goes and we don't go and visit. And then they put in parentheses, "This is the context of my title since people are coming for me about me, quote, purposefully forgetting. Just to add context, I know this title seems like more."
Yeah, okay. You titled it shitty.
Yes. For context, I work in retail, so around this time, holidays are really hard for me to plan visits around because I am mandatory to go and work on the weekends. My fiance works Monday through Friday and he has all holidays off. I do have Thanksgiving off, however, I work bright and early for Black Friday the next day,
Right.
and I've already made plans with my family months ago to do actual Thanksgiving Day at my father's house. He has cancer and will be done with his treatments the week before Thanksgiving, so it's a pretty big deal for my family. Anyways, back to what I was getting at. This weekend came and went and we didn't go to visit. And now our weekends are going to be hard to go plan a visit. His mother never texted us the week following up or after the weekend had passed as well. Am I an asshole because I didn't remind my fiance to go visit his family? And then they edited and said to add more context and a slight update, he did get a call from his grandpa and they had a nice conversation during the middle of it. Something along the lines got brought up about visiting, and he looks at me and asks whether we're going to visit again. I told him I'm not sure and he would have to look into it. After that conversation, nothing has been discussed about making arrangements to see them. Again, probably won't unless I bring it up, and I'm tired of monitoring his relationships. Maybe when things on my family side get better, I can help with that. I usually did the last 9.5 years. However, I don't have time in me to manage this at this point.
Okay. Firstly, your title sucks.
Yes.
Sounds like you were like, I really hate this guy's family. I don't want to see him.
Correct. By saying you kind of did purposefully
You didn't forget, you just didn't remind him.
right.
I think this is a weird post because it sounds like you feel guilty.
Right.
Because it doesn't sound like anyone is upset.
Mm-mm.
Like, he's not like, why the fuck didn't you remind me? His family's not like, why the fuck didn't you come?
Correct.
Like, no one is upset.
Right.
So it's a little weird to be like, I'm going to make a full Reddit post about this.
Well, it does say advice needed. Like, what do you think? Like, am I worrying about this for nothing?
Fair. Here's the thing. I have so many opinions on this. One, I totally understand and can feel that, like, that mental load
Is a lot.
is a lot and it's too much. You need to be an adult in a
Mhm.
relationship. And
Especially
take
if
care
you've
of your
been together
own-
for 9.5 years.
Yeah, and take care of your own shit. Like, this is your family stuff. I'm not planning it. However, I do think there comes a point in time, especially when you've dated someone for 9.5 years,
Correct.
at work, and you're marrying this person.
Right, because he's your fiance.
That is also technically kind of your family.
Correct.
So for you to be like, I'm just not going to go see them, like, we're just not going to see them if he doesn't plan it, is a little weird. And I also feel like it's a little bit underhanded to be like, he never, not that he maybe would have heeded it, but to say, like, if you said to him, hey, I'm hands off on this. I'm not reminding you. I'm not talking to you about this. if you don't plan it, we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was never that conversation.
Correct.
So it feels a little underhanded to them, almost spiteful in a way of like, he's not going to remember.
Well, and it's like she said, like, are we doing anything this weekend? And he didn't bring it up. So it's like you're almost like waiting for him to forget so you don't have to go. Is to me how it feels.
Yeah.
Like, if he would have said, like, oh, yeah, we're going, like, she would have gone.
Right.
But because he's not remembering, she's like, I'm purposefully not going to bring it up. For whatever reason.
It just, to me, it comes across a little bit like, you like your fiance?
Well, or your fiance's family?
Your fiance's family?
That's kind of, to me, what it feels like is like there's some sort of like, I don't like them or I don't want to hang out with them or whatever. Whatever it is. Maybe you're working every weekend and you want a weekend off. Maybe you know you're going to be working every weekend, so you would like this time to relax. Maybe whatever it is, you don't get along with this family. Maybe whatever the reason is, you didn't want to go.
Correct.
And I feel like you should have just talked about that.
Correct. It feels a little like foundationally shaky. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like we are hopping and jumping and skipping over really big issues.
Right. Well, that's a lot of people are like, he's an adult, don't feel guilty. It's his family, let him plan it. You're busy, blah blah blah. And I'm like,
all that's true.
All that's true, but I also think you should like maybe reflect on your relationship and say like, why didn't I just have this conversation with him? And I'm like having to seek out advice from Reddit.
Advice from the internet.
Because then maybe you could tell him this and it's not that big of a deal. Right?
Or
because obviously he didn't care enough to remember. Mm-hmm. So it's probably not that big of a deal. And his family's not upset about it. So it's obviously not that, like, it'd be one thing if he'd forgotten and you didn't remind him and then his family was upset about it. But obviously his family's not upset about it.
No. And again, I just think it's interesting to be like, it feels like we should have had a conversation and just refused to have that conversation.
Correct.
And again, I go back to, I don't think it's anyone else's job to take care of your partner in that way. Like,
right.
To have to carry 100% of the mental load of the relationship, of planning, of going, of doing. I don't think should be her job at all.
Right.
But I also find it interesting, and maybe she has had that conversation, just left it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just feels like, to me, it was like, you were involved in making this plan.
Correct.
You were involved in the group text with mom and him.
Correct.
And then individually, like, in your head, decided, I am not going to be a part of this, but never told anybody.
Correct.
Also, I think, like, relationships or partnerships, like, you have to work together. Like, there are things that, like, I am good at and things I am not good at. And there's things that, like, my boyfriend's good at and not good at. And, like, having
this to drop on the podcast.
Maybe it is.
Anyway, you just slide past that.
We're just gonna and like
everybody stop. Sorry, continue.
But like that's life. Like there's gonna be things that I am not good at forever.
Right.
And like, can I work on them? Yeah. But like in that partnership, in that dynamic, like there has to be give and take, and there has to be like we can work together, and I can support you in those things like you aren't good at.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm like. Maybe, and I could understand. Like, I feel like she's coming from a sense of guilt because she's thinking like, I would never do this to my family, right? And like maybe at the time you didn't think about it, and now you're overthinking it. But then again, just like have a conversation with your partner. Like, hey, I'm feeling kind of guilty about this, and they might say, it's not a big deal. Don't feel guilty. Or then you can have that conversation to plan a different time to go see them.
Correct.
No big whoop.
It just feels like you're kind of starting on a slippery slope, like without the conversation.
Right.
Because very quickly it's like, he's not good at cleaning, so I'm just not going to clean it.
Right.
And you don't do that, and it spirals from there, right? Like, of like, well, now I'm not cooking. Well, now I'm not providing emotional support.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not providing like friendship and kindness. Like those things, as big of a leap as it sounds to be like, from like, I didn't tell you were going to your parents' place, to I'm not going to offer you like kindness in our relationship.
Right.
Like, while that feels like a huge jump,
it takes steps to get there too.
It takes time to get there. It feels like we're missing foundational conversations. And if this is someone you want to marry
and spend the rest of your life
with, I think this at least deserves a conversation of like, I'm feeling very frustrated that I am taking on the mental load of this relationship. For example, I didn't remind you that we were planning on going to your family's house for Thanksgiving, and we didn't go.
Correct.
That is one example. And you can give further examples if I'm sure you have them.
Right.
And that's a place to start. But it's like, I just don't want resentment to build.
Right. Yeah, because it's just, like you said, it's a slippery slope.
Like, I don't really like, I'm not going to do that or this or that. And it's like, well, you can also hate it if your partner turns around and just like stops supporting you.
Correct. For
That's
sure.
my opinion.
I agree.
I mean, I don't disagree that everyone in the comments being like, he's an adult.
Well, and all of those things can be true, and you can still have the conversation with your partner to like move forward successfully.
Correct.
And have a plan. You know?
Yeah.
Cool.
I like it.
Well, last one.
Woo!
2 updates. I'll read the first thing. And then,
I love an update.
And the thing is, it's only 6 days old. And there's already 2 updates. So
good for them.
Thank you for keeping up with it, a random person, because there's no actual username. My mother-in-law said she never liked me, and now I don't want to host Thanksgiving.
Reasonable.
That's
reasonable.
Well, my partner and I have dated for a few years, lived together for 2. When I first met his mom, I was very nervous and wanted her to like me. I learned some customs that show respect and did them. I cooked meals from scratch for her that she loved. Holidays were hosted in our home. I would cook for days and serve the whole family, making sure every detail was perfect. Holidays were lovely. I never had times like that with my own family and was grateful to the point of tearing up many times, not in front of my partner's family, but in private. My partner and I have a business that takes up much of our time and hadn't seen his mother much lately, so I planned a day to pick her up and take her to a local coffee shop she enjoys and to lunch. As soon as she saw me, she immediately commented that I had lost weight and complimented me multiple times, then asking to take selfies with me so she could post them on Facebook because I looked so pretty. I had issues with eating disorders in the past, so the comments did make me feel weird. Yeah. But I knew she was trying to compliment me, so I didn't say anything. We went to lunch and we wanted to take more selfies and was again complimenting my looks. She said, You were okay before, but too overweight. I don't know why this hurt me, but it did. I blinked back tears as the food came. I couldn't eat it and found myself pushing food around and taking only small bites of dry salad. My partner and mom ate, either not noticing that I wasn't really eating or not commenting on it. I did not want to cause a scene because, again, I knew she was trying to say something nice, but she's very blunt. She is not aware that I used to starve myself. She probably wouldn't have said it if she did. After lunch, she needed to go to the restroom, so I helped her. She's in her 80s and uses a cane, but needs to be steady. While she was washing her hands, she told me, I never liked you, but you're okay now.
Oh my God.
That did it. I couldn't hide the hurt anymore. I teared up and stammered awkwardly that our son would be right back to help her walk to the table. I went to the table and quietly told my partner that I would take an Uber home and that I was upset about something his mom said, but I did not but would see him at home. His mom tried to call me, but I decided not to answer. I guess the reason I'm feeling so upset is that I'm feeling like I'm only worth something if I'm thinner. I also thought she always liked me. She acted like she did. Now it all feels fake. I don't want to host Thanksgiving anymore. Why should I kill myself cooking for days for someone who only really liked me when I lost a few pounds? My partner thinks I'm overreacting and I misunderstood her. He said it's normal for mother-in-laws to not like daughter-in-laws at first because we, quote, take away their sons. But I didn't take him away. He is the one who hasn't made an effort to spend much time with her. Every time we have seen her is because I organized it. But she's old, she's blunt, and she doesn't know I had eating disorders. So am I the asshole for wanting to cancel Thanksgiving? Should I just forgive her and suck it up so that the family has a nice Thanksgiving together? Am I just being a huge baby?
No!
Yeah,
Oh my god!
crazy.
Oh my god! You have gone out of your way to like make such a good impression on this woman. You are learning customs that are outside of your own to show and demonstrate respect. You are cooking for her. You are hosting for her. You are, again, going back to our last word, organizing events so that she can spend time with her family, her son, making sure that she is so comfortable. She sees you, and the way, like, if she didn't know you had an eating disorder, that happens all the time, right?
Right.
Like, oh my god, you lost some weight, you look good.
Well, even
And,
like people continuing to bring it up, like, wow, you look so thin, you look so good. Like, as much as it's not okay, and I don't think people should like say those things because your weight does not determine your value. I can at least understand if it had stopped there. Like, I understand you feeling uncomfortable, but maybe it's not coming from a bad place, and maybe you could have a conversation about it and whatever. But to then jump to like, I never liked you, but now you're okay,
That line
is crazy.
insane. How do you say that to someone? And listen, I'm so sick of hearing people be like, we're a different generation. We're just one. No.
No. And
You
they're like,
know
it's a
it's
compliment.
weird.
They're saying they're liking you now. No, that's not a compliment.
After you have put in years
Mhm.
of time, energy, and effort
Correct.
to then be slapped in the face of like all of that effort, all of that time, all of that energy you put in meant nothing until you lost weight. And the fact that her partner sat there when his mom was like, you used to be kind of fat is insane.
Insane. He should have stopped it there.
He should have said, that's not polite, you can stop.
Let me just read the next update.
Okay, good.
So the mother-in-law is Filipino, I believe.
Okay.
Because it says, after speaking to a Filipina friend of mine, reading everyone's comments and calming down, I decided to talk to my mother-in-law. She indeed did not mean to hurt my feelings or say anything with bad intentions. She really thought she was just complimenting me. She was very sorry for hurting me and wants to move on, and she says she accepts me and loves me. Which, like...
But she just said she didn't like you!
Honestly, I've had a rough couple of months with my unrelated issues, and I think her comments yesterday were just the straw that broke the camel's back. My boyfriend did get defensive when we talked about what happened, but he agreed to back me up if it ever happens again and talk to her about not mentioning my weight. He also supports me correcting her or letting her know if she's being rude in the future. As far as Thanksgiving, I decided that the family being together is more important than my hurt feelings. I do enjoy making it nice for everyone. We don't know how many years she may have left, and I think I can let this incident go for now. I'm not confident that she will change, but I can probably handle anything for a couple of days a year. Isn't that sad?
It's so sad.
Like, she has such little self-worth that she's just like, well, she said she's sorry.
She said she's sorry, and like, there is a cultural dynamic at play here that you and I don't fully understand. Either of us are Filipino, nor are we necessarily in relationships. Not necessarily. We are not in relationships with Filipino folks.
Correct.
So there's a cultural dynamic at play here that we just don't understand. But what I will say is maybe there's a language barrier.
Right.
That like she meant it as like meant it somehow, some way, something different, and it came out that way
really poorly.
and it was like, well, fuck you. But
Right.
it's sad to me that your partner still is like, well, I guess I'll support you if I have to.
Or like you can correct her. When it's like he should be the one saying like, hey, we don't say it. In my opinion.
That is your mother.
Correct. So there's one more update.
Okay.
I am now realizing that all the quote compliments my mother-in-law was giving was her trying to make up with me. Before this lunch, we didn't see her for 3 months. Yes, we have been busy with work, but honestly, I stopped messaging her weekly and making plans because she had texted me in all caps after I had an argument with her son. I was mad at him for telling his mom about our argument and mad at his mom for getting involved and essentially quote yelling at me over text. I didn't say much back to his mom and just stopped responding to her. Someone explained the concept of tambo in the Filipino culture to me. When you're upset, you distance yourself from the person who upset you basically until they grovel or make it up to you somehow. Without realizing it, that is what I was doing to her. So when she saw us, she gave me a bracelet and was giving me a bunch of quote compliments. She was trying to make it up with me, except I didn't see them as compliments because I'm a white American who was taught that commenting on weight is all at all is inappropriate. Throw in prior eating disorders, and yes, of course, I was sensitive to the remarks and had a meltdown. Would I have preferred an apology and for her to not get too involved? Of course. But she grew up in the Philippines. It's a whole other culture, and I can't be so close minded to think other people don't have different ways of thinking. Now he knows it's not appropriate to bring up weight. She was so upset for hurting me. When we talked to her, she was crying. I've never seen her cry. I know you guys don't think I was the asshole, but I'm thinking I was a bit of an asshole. I'm not too pleased with my boyfriend for getting so defensive of his mom. He's agreed to start couples counseling because there are clearly some issues.
God, I feel so bad for her.
I know.
Like, again, I do think it goes back to like what I will say is I don't think she's the asshole at all.
I agree.
I think her husband's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And I think mother-in-laws of a different generation of a different culture and says things that she may or may not realize is appropriate.
Correct.
Like she's thinking all these things are compliments, and it's like there is, and you can't control that. Like,
right,
you are not responsible for other people's trauma. You know,
right.
Like, they need to be responsible for their reactions and things like that. So as much as mother-in-law is not responsible for the prior ED, especially without her knowledge, like she thinks she's paying her very nice compliments, and I have a feeling there's some other barrier there.
Right.
Because if she was like genuinely that distraught afterwards and was like crying, she was like, "I'm so sorry."
She obviously wasn't like she was trying to make up with her. She was trying to do the right thing. It obviously didn't land.
Correct. And now she's like, I'm just sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I am just sorry.
Right.
I won't try and do this do the compliment thing or do the gift thing or yeah, but your husband is an ass.
Right. And I think at least he's agreeing to do counseling or something, but like there's obviously some dynamics there again that need to be
nipped,
addressed.
Why are you calling her mommy to tell her about a fight?
Correct.
And get her on your side. Excuse me. If we're having a disagreement, it is me versus you.
Right.
Or not me versus you. It's me and you versus whatever we're disagreeing about. But
Correct.
like, you're not gonna pull in a third person to like outweigh my opinion.
I think that is like one of the biggest ways you can really like damage a relationship is by trying to. Like, it's one thing to vent.
Yeah.
And it's another thing to like try to get backup from another person. And whether he was trying to get backup or not, like I feel like you as an adult have to understand and like set the boundary of like, I am telling you this in confidence and I don't want you to step in. I just because I can understand needing to vent about
something. Right. Like if you're upset or
but like you need to make that boundary clear.
Or like even hey, like I'm looking for advice. Like me and so and so are having a disagreement. This is my stance, this is their stance. As someone who's doing your best to be objective, like, can I get advice? But to then like have like them reach out to the person I'm disagreeing with, that's a boundary you're crossing now.
Correct.
So oh goodness. Well, I'm glad they're doing couples counseling. I do feel bad for her because it feels like she is basically just like
Taking the brunt of all of the issues.
taking a lot of that responsibility.
Right.
And like, as much as those folks cannot help being Filipino, you cannot help being a white American.
Right.
You can learn, and I hope you do learn, and I think that's important. And like expanding your culture and expanding your worldview. I don't love the whole like, well, they're right and I'm wrong.
Because I just don't
I
understand.
don't understand.
Yeah. I hope that Thanksgiving is a healing moment for them. Yeah.
Like I hope this couple's counseling does really well for her. And her and her partner are able to work through any issues that they have. It does seem like she's in on him. He's
Right. I don't know. Doesn't it make you ready for the holidays?
Thanksgiving! I'm so excited for some good old mashed potatoes.
Oh,
some gravy.
we were talking about that, and someone's like, "How is mashed potatoes like your favorite?" I'm like, "Mashed potatoes are my favorite. I think food to have."
I love a mashed potato.
Mm-hmm.